Hey guys, welcome back. We have a weekend energy update that we need to get into today as we conclude what may have been a very unique or interesting or unusual week. We had a big energetic shift take place this week from the Western tropical zodiac perspective. Uranus, the planet ruling sudden and unexpected changes, left the sign of Taurus, where he has been since 2018, entered the sign of Gemini, where he has not been in 75 years. This is a very transitional energy, and there could have been some shakeups going on in your life or in your experience throughout the course of the week. We also had a full moon in Capricorn take place on Thursday, which is an interesting full moon in Capricorn energy. I talked about this in my last video because it's almost like anything but. The Saturn Capricorn energy is experiencing, I feel like, a bit of a drain right now, just in terms of what's going on with the planet Saturn and the way that that moon lined up. And even as we move through this weekend and get to Sunday, Saturn is stationing retrograde, and that again is kind of like turning this Saturnian energy in on itself and like diminishing its outward strength and potential. And so this is a weekend, you guys, where the boundaries and the borders and the lines and the rules and like everything that maintains order and structure could just like be a bit blurred or be a bit lackadaisical, or things could just kind of be all over the place. It is a little bit of like a free-for-all energy. There's just not strong order to things right now generally, and as a result of that, I think that this is not a good weekend to push it. This is not a good week where like your hard work or efforts are really going to pay off or all that much or turn into anything. We also have the sun and the north node in water signs forming a trine this weekend, and rest, relaxation, taking it easy, taking the load off, surrendering the burden. This is definitely much more where energy is oriented than supporting our ability to really like accomplish any type of difficult task or goal or do anything that really requires a significant level of discipline. So all that being said, you guys, we have another kind of just like weird, interesting energy going on this weekend. Lots to talk about, big astrology out there. Let's get into it. Let's put all this together, see if we can get an idea of how things are lining up for us as we enter our weekend on Friday and where we are headed as we head towards next week. Welcome back to my channel, you guys. Today is Friday, July 11th, 2025. My name is Aubrey. This is your astrological outlook of the weekend, where we are narrating the shift of the ages. In this video, we are just going to take a good look at our energy forecast for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday this weekend. Try to get an idea of what might be going on out there. So that's what we're doing. As I mentioned in my intro, you guys, and if you've been following along with the astrology, you of course already know this, but it has been a very busy week. We had a new and not experienced, or a new energy and one that we have not experienced in 75 years come our way as of this past Monday, July 7th. Uranus, the planet ruling sudden unexpected changes, the galactic fixer, the great awakener, blessings in disguise, the planet associated also with prophecy and the future and newness and novelty, entering the sign of Gemini, the sign of the mind, information, communication, and rapid change. With Uranus being a planet that is like completely associated with change, entering the sign of Gemini, which is all about the state of things changing, we obviously have a super potent energetic vibration right now that is resonating to the changeable state of things. Things therefore could feel very unstable right now. On the other side of that, there's also essentially like no earth energy going on out there. We've pretty much got nothing holding us to the ground. I do think you may just want to be mindful and aware of the potential for like heightened like mental health disturbances and perceptual problems that people are like suddenly experiencing, like literally like breaks from reality and stuff like that could be like spontaneously, momentarily occurring with people, and there could just be like real strange reactions going on out there. This influx of this like hypercharged, high frequency, high speed, high pitch Uranian energy, which literally is just sort of like running a system upgrade in the background of all of our like collective, like individual programs right now, could really be messing with some people. And then when we add to it the fact that we also got like essentially nothing tethering us to reality, it just is a bit of a recipe for some people to be briefly or momentarily or, you know, more significantly somehow like maybe struggling mentally to maintain a grasp on reality. So if that's something that you find yourself experiencing here or there, or, you know, you see it going on in the world around you, things are just literally unstable right now. And again, like the whole not having any earth energy is not helping the situation. And I say, you know, we're not having any earth energy because the only planets and points that we have in earth signs right now are the south node in the sign of Virgo and Mars in the sign of Virgo. But Mars is actually right now like building into a conjunction with the south node in Virgo. And the south node, this is the point of karmic release. It can have to do with loss. It can have to do with endings. It can have to do with like, you know, just what's going out, what's not there, what, like, it's where the drain is. And in the earth sign of Virgo, you know, this is not providing a super strong earth energy. Rather, it's creating and promoting circumstances to be changeable in the context of what is normally stable. And then when we add the fact that Mars is transiting through Virgo as well and building into a conjunction with that release point, that's only like energizing what the south node is doing there. So it's like only, you know, stimulating and activating the process of change, the process of release, the process of letting go, of ending, of loss, of like whatever is being like moved away from, so that we can grow and evolve and move into something else. When we're talking about the north node, south node polarity, which is what we're talking about in the context of the south node in the sign of Virgo, that's the release point in that earth sign energy. That's what needs to change. So really, and this is another thing that I've been talking about for a while now, and we will continue to talk about it as the south node continues to transit through the sign of Virgo. But this is a period of time where a lot of people are going to be spontaneously changing their lifestyles, their habits, routines, diet, nutrition, what they do on a day-to-day basis. It can also have to do with employees. It can also have to do with work and just generally like the way that we conduct ourselves on the day-to-day, what we're putting into things and what we're getting out of things. Virgo energy, that's kind of in a nutshell how that works. And then so with the south node there, that is the like cycles and the patterns that we're breaking and changing in the context of how we are editing, improving, and upgrading our day-to-day lives. And again, with Mars moving there, that is energizing that energy. It is not stabilizing things. Okay, so Uranus entering the sign of Gemini, highly change-inducing energy at lightning speed, and lots of them, one after another, and unexpectedly as well. And then the only earth sign energy that we have going on also, which would normally help us to, you know, find our grounding and feel more secure and like feel more stable in the experience, is also like fast-paced with Mars there, like motivating and just triggering and activating this process of release and change. Virgo energy, of course, is also not only this earth energy that could potentially be grounding us in the midst of all of this, you know, just electrified dynamic Uranian energy that's going on if it wasn't the south node and Mars there. But Virgo also has to do with legitimately like our mental health. It's ruled by Mercury, ruled by the mind. Virgo's a sign having to do with health and healing as well. So, and it also can tend towards like anxiety, and Uranus is also like nervous tension and stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if people are kind of feeling strung out, like high anxiety, a lot of nervous tension in the air, very unpredictable right now. And again, you know, not really sure how things are going to go or what's going to happen. Maybe a serious sense of anticipation, or, just feeling like something is about to change or happen, but you don't know what it is. That could be bringing a little bit of this crazy making energy as well. So just something to be aware of and keep in mind in that regard. And then also, like, the pile onto that is this diminished Saturn energy, which we're going to be talking about in the report for today as well. That was present for our full moon on Thursday. That is, being extra, essentially, like, energetically insinuated by Saturn's retrograde on Sunday. Saturn is also the grounding physical 3D matrix, like order, rules, regulations, like frameworks, foundations, like things are stable and operate a certain way type of energy, predictable energy. Saturn, if you guys watched my last video, I was saying it's like the most like un-Saturn, un-Capricorn, full moon in Capricorn energy I've ever seen. Not only was that full moon in Capricorn, again, earth sign energy, you would think that a full moon in Capricorn would be a definitely more grounding, especially emotionally grounding time of the year, and generally it is. But the full moon in Capricorn, even the placement of the moon was in a trine to that south node in the sign of Virgo that I like just got done talking about. Its little impact going on there is to essentially like prevent us from being able to keep on keeping on, like doing things the same way that we've been doing things. That is like requiring these alterations and changes and edits to the way that we do the day to day, or take care of ourselves, or do our job, or like whatever it is. Saturn is also associated with the work ethic, the discipline, the order of things. This is control, this is authority, this is governance, this is the boundaries and the limitations and the borders and the lines that we stay within. With the trine to the south node, that was also talking about this release of that order, of that discipline, of that like plan, procedure, method, like the way that the template, okay, that we usually run things on, or that things are usually run on. Of course, it's a full moon, it's talking about our emotions. Things could definitely just be feeling quite different this whole week, this weekend also. But not only that, the ruler of the sign of Capricorn, Saturn, right, has been in this ongoing conjunction with Neptune, who is also retrograde in the sign of Aries. Neptune and Saturn together, that is another energy that dissolves things, it dismantles things, it takes the ways that things have been done and systemized and ordered and controlled for long periods of time. Saturn is the lord of time, Saturn is the lord of karma, Saturn rules the past and history and tradition and convention, and literally just like washes it away, breaks it down piece by piece. This is dismantling the frameworks that have essentially structured the way that we have behaved and operated with Neptune there. Also, this is belief systems in a state of flux. It's the entire like nature of the structure of the physical reality, okay, that literally just seems to be for some reason no longer able to endure. Like that Saturn with Neptune, Capricorn moon, trine the south node, and now on Sunday coming up here, we also have Saturn stationing retrograde. There's no more endurance, and like things have come to the end of the road. And I've been saying this for a while, but it's just so like brilliantly written from that like cosmic perspective, that just at the same point in time that we would have this influx of this new energy represented through the Uranus like changing signs situation. And remember, you guys, we are currently undergoing a shift of ages. We are transitioning into the sign of Aquarius. Uranus is the planet that rules the sign of Aquarius, and as I've been saying, the first thing that Uranus has done since entering the sign of Gemini is form a trine to Pluto in the sign of Aquarius, which is going to be this energy that makes the fact that a paradigm shift is underway noticeable. This is the bridge to like the space age or sci-fi world. There's about to be some boom in technology, innovation, medicine, money, transactions, information, major revelations, major secrets revealed, finding things out that shift the entire way that we are viewing situations and transform circumstances completely is going to come with this. And it's going to be mostly mental at the root, okay, of these changes and shifts that are on the precipice of beginning to take place, if they haven't already by the time that this video comes out. I'm recording this video actually before the Uranus Gemini transit occurs, so it'll be interesting to see what this upcoming week brings and where we're at by the time that this weekend that I'm doing this video about arrives. But it is definitely just a time where the way that things have been functioning, have been operating, have been running, and maybe have been getting great results, there's some type of fundamental change in the operating system that's going on here, and it's being reflected in terms of the teardown, the breakdown, the destruction, the dismantling of the old order, and the simultaneous, like literally exact same time, exact same week, emergence and amplification of this new energy that is bridging us into the new way, the new means, the new systems. And we are also moving, mind you, and it's so funny that it's working out like this as well, from a essentially like centralized model of life and reality and the world and power structures and just governance and situations and like all stuff like that, to a decentralized model of all of those same things. And Saturn is the energy that would most align to that centralized hierarchical power and control model. That has been what the like physical 3D matrix has been built upon up until this period of time. But now as we move forward, we've got this Uranian energy coming in, meeting with Pluto in Aquarius, and really just ushering in this new age that is going to be unlike anything we've ever experienced before, and just radically, clearly require a detachment from the ways that things have been done in the past. So we've got two things going on at the same time. We've got the old order breaking down and clearly being disempowered by the way that the Saturn energy is aspecting, representing, transiting, just resonating through time and space right now, and also the way that the Uranian energy is being like totally amplified and empowered. So there could literally be some change of guard that's going on right now. I would not be surprised if people are sort of like handing over the reins. Like there could be like generational changes taking place within families and authority and structures and units and stuff like that right now as well. But this like change of guard energy, I do think is going to be happening essentially within like all dimensions of thought and experience. Microcosm, macrocosm. Something old and fixed is giving way to something new and radically different. And there's essentially like no way, I don't think, to stop that process right now. Everything is going to be reflecting that, and you're probably feeling it either, you know, deep within your soul, just like know that it's something that's going on in these deeper levels, or you may actually be living it through your current circumstances and experiences as life reflects these shifting vibrations that are coming in and coming through and taking place right now. So as we enter the weekend on Friday, we are still in this Capricorn full moon energy. The moon is still transiting through Capricorn as we begin our weekend on Friday. And actually, as the moon concludes the transit of the sign of Capricorn, prepares to enter Aquarius, guess what's going to happen, you guys? We are going to have our first activation of this Pluto Uranus air sign trine that we are going to have a couple of times a month now that we have Uranus in the sign of Gemini, Pluto, of course, in the sign of Aquarius. This is activated because after the moon concludes the transit of the sign of Capricorn, the moon will enter the sign of Aquarius, come into a conjunction with Pluto, and hit that trine to Uranus. The moon is a trigger for energy whenever we've got an activation or an aspect occurring, especially like a big, powerful trine like Uranus and Pluto. When the moon contacts either of those planets, it is going to amplify that energy. It's going to activate that energy. So we are going to get our first big dose, you guys, of Uranus, Pluto in a trine come Friday. Now, also don't forget, Neptune and Saturn are in a conjunction in the sign of Aries as well. We just got done talking about how this is diminishing the external like strength and projection essentially of the Saturn energy, but it is also at the exact degree range, which puts it at a midpoint between Uranus in Gemini and Pluto in Aquarius while they're in their air sign trine. The Aries energy, first 2 degrees of sign of Aries, we've got Pluto and Uranus within the first 2 degrees of Gemini and Aquarius. Aries sextiles both those planets. So there is this very strange like enmeshment, interconnectivity, this like entanglement that is going on between our air sign trine with Pluto and Uranus, and also whatever is happening with Saturn and Neptune in their conjunction. Do you see what I'm talking about? How we have both things going on at once. The energy, Pluto and Uranus, that is feeding our like literal paradigm shift and transition into this new experience of life and reality, like now and going forward, is equally entangled with Saturn and Neptune that is breaking down, dismantling, and releasing us from the past ways, the past means, the past legacies of power and control and order and governance, whether in belief systems as well, the boxes that we have, the limitations that we have previously contained ourselves in. There is a breakdown and dismantling, and also simultaneously this super powerful emergence, and it's like literally all connected, and it's featuring these big outer planets, and the universe, you guys, is speaking super clearly. And that is actually something that I want to mention as well. I'll talk about it more as we get through the report. I'll talk about it a lot more as we move through the course of the next 7 years. But I swear in the energy right now, like if you tune in, if you get clear, if you can learn to do it, which we're all going to be learning to do it, I do think now and moving forward, you can literally like hear God think in this energy, like the ability to tune in to the universe or to receive, again, like these signs, signals, these synchronicities, and to have an ability to interpret them in the way that can benefit you, super indicated right now. And I do think that if there has ever been a time to cultivate your connection to universe, like learn the language that you speak to a higher power and pay attention, be observant, like get clear on that level, you're probably going to have like a really profound experience of your ability to like trust your intuition. It's going to be, I'm telling you, like so much more on point than you would have ever thought. And on that note, you guys, this is a like very, very psychic energy that we've got going on this weekend. When we're talking about the combination of Uranus and Pluto activated like that, and especially with the moon being there on Friday. And another thing that we've got going on Friday that I don't want to forget to mention until I get too far in the report, so I'm going to mention it now. On Friday, we also have an exact water trine playing out between the sun in Cancer and the north node of the moon, the destiny point in the sign of Pisces. I've talked a lot about the south node so far and how that's karmic release and how that's sort of like the flush and the drain on things, the release valve for what we're done with, what can't continue to go on if we are going to move forward, if we're going to grow. The north node, the polarity point to the south node, therefore represents the destiny point. This is the path that we are going and growing and moving towards. This is the path of collective evolution right now in the sign of Pisces. Also, that has to do with some type of enhanced spiritual connection or enhanced connection to our higher selves. Again, we have a much greater than normal aptitude to connect to a higher power and literally like extract beneficial and productive information from the universe that we can apply to make good choices and decisions in our life right now. Like, universe wants to support you, okay? Like, and universe is speaking to you. We literally just need to figure out, you know, what that means and what that looks like for us, because it will be different for every single person, and then learn to trust it. But with the sun in Cancer, trining the North Node in Pisces, again, that is a highly, highly, highly sensitive, intuitive, spiritually connected, spiritually inclined energy. And that is, you know, the path of growth right now with the North Node there. That is what we are meant to learn. And then Uranus entering the sign of Gemini, also associated with what we're learning, what we're thinking about, what we're talking about in the trine to Pluto, being activated by the moon right there as well. Very good weekend to spontaneously get some like crazy flashes of insight or sudden downloads or just like intuitive hunches that could be in some way life-changing, or that could in some way shift or alter your perspective or your perception of like what this reality is, like what's really going on out there, the presence of a higher power. Spiritual experiences could be something that is very catalytic in the way that things are changing and transforming and transitioning right now as well. So you may find yourself having some type of experience like that. Other people maybe. And that also, remember a minute ago I was saying that this could be kind of a bit of like crazy making energy. People really may be feeling like they're losing their grip on reality to an extent. And it could also be as a result of some of these just like bizarre, otherworldly, like mystical or spiritual experiences that could be coming through, making people also like really question what is real and what is not, and what is truth and what is illusion, and what is fantasy and what is fiction. And I've always believed this thing and I've always understood this to be true, but now that I've experienced or seen or understood this, it alters the entire foundation that those beliefs were built upon. You know, stuff like that or of that significance could be going on. Or you could just be finding that things are happening a bit differently this weekend. You could just feel off, or again, this inner sense of anticipation, this with the moon there in the conjunction to Pluto, like this deep subconscious internal sense that something is changing, that something is shifting, maybe that's creating a sense of like subtle anxiety or nervous tension that you can't exactly put your finger on, you know, that you don't know really what it is, that you haven't experienced before, or that you can't completely characterize, but you know, you can feel it vibrating in the background nonetheless. So those are all ways that this energy could kind of be pressing on us as we move throughout the course of the weekend. This energy on Friday could also be bringing something to light, making us aware of something maybe that's been hidden. This really is centered around getting to the root of problems, like lifting up the hood, seeing behind the curtain, you know, the gears in the machine, detective, super like detective energy, solving mysteries. You may find yourself really drawn to things of a more occult or mysterious or like even like conspiratorial type of nature in this energy, but people are going to be looking to solve problems and to solve mysteries and to understand complexities and to figure out how things that they haven't understood, or you know, like the mysteries, okay, are just like not going to be able to stand. People are going to be seeking to unravel threads here, is what I'm trying to say with this. The Pluto-Uranus trine over the coming months is going to bring a lot of transparency to information in various ways, a lot of awakening. Remember, Uranus is also the planet that is associated with awakening. It is the Great Awakener. And I do think also, I think I was saying this in one of my last reports, I feel like this energy is truly representing that kind of theme and trend that has been, or the concept that has been emerging of the Great Awakening itself over this past several years. This is the energy that is going to bring that is going to anchor that Great Awakening concept into the 3D physical manifest reality. So we're going to see things that you would associate with some type of Great Awakening now come to pass. And this is, of course, going to bring these powerful mental shifts as well, which I said are going to be at the root of a lot of the transitions and the changes that we see take place externally. It's coming from this illumination internally is going to be the predecessor to these big changes externally that are to come now and moving forward. So shocking informations, conversations, encounters, bizarre or unusual experiences that really change our mind or change our thoughts or perspective on something somehow. And also the emotions with the moon and Pluto in the conjunction as well, trine Uranus in the sign of Gemini. This energy this weekend is on Friday, not just hitting on the mental level, the emotions are real tied into that as well. So again, it could be these powerful, almost like subconscious or unconscious emotional situations that come up or that go on that do somehow maybe play into this mental transformation underway. This could also, though, I will say, be like lending itself to a sense of personal empowerment, which is another facet of this energy. Of course, like that's where all of this is going. We are going to individually become more and more collectively self-empowered, I think, now and moving forward as well, because we're entering into an age where knowledge is power. Knowledge is the new currency. Like knowledge, again, like is at the like epicenter of all of the changes that are being generated right now. And so the value of knowledge is about to increase tremendously. And as a result of that, our ability to gain and hold knowledge is going to be entirely empowering in ways that I don't think we could like truly conceptualize right now and that we haven't experienced before. But it is possible that we're feeling that throughout the course of the weekend. And I do think, that people are probably going to be actually with the moon and Pluto there, trine Uranus and Gemini, more willing to say their feelings that maybe they would normally hide. Like people are going to be more assertive or feel more empowered to say how they feel and to speak their mind about things in situations or in contexts or in environments where previously they would have hid those feelings or concealed them or repressed them. We're not doing it anymore. Because remember also, like, this has a lot to do with the rise and the simultaneous or similar value of authenticity. That whole Uranus through Taurus transit, and I was saying the whole time we were narrating the shift of the ages this past several years while Uranus was transiting the sign of Taurus, that was about removing blockages to growth that were essentially like detaching us from authentic potential. And now that we have Uranus, the planet associated with authenticity, in the sign of Gemini, that is like, and in the trine to Pluto, that's like, and in Aquarius, that is like being personally empowered and on a more collective, broad, bigger level to speak our truth. People, again, like this is all about transparency. Repressing feelings, hiding things, wearing masks, like that's all the old age energy. Like that's all a function and mechanism of norms and expectations and stuff of the past, and those like systems and frameworks and structures and like all of that, like I said, that are in a process of collapse and fragmentation and breakdown right now. So as a result of that, like now and going forward, like do not be surprised if people are just being more honest, and for whatever reason, just like feeling more personally empowered to do so, not being afraid to just like say it whatever it is. And there's likely to be a shock factor that goes along with this as well, because we are talking about Uranus in the sign of Gemini. This is going to be an epic 7 years of shock factor in terms of what we're learning, the information that we're exposed to, the things that are coming out of people's mouths, the conversations that we're having. Therefore, you know, we could also see on that more macrocosm world stage level, or maybe just in, you know, your own personal life, some type of powerful maybe or important announcements that go on, big or shocking news that comes up. Something about information or technology or communication is highlighted for surprises and for major innovation, major upgrade, major change. This of course could also be like big important deals or negotiations or trades or talks, discussions, arguments, decisions. We could see a lot of that type of stuff go on in the energy of Friday, moving through the weekend and into next week. And also with, I mean, whenever we're dealing with a Moon Pluto situation, that could be some type of powerful emotional experience that's going on, maybe some type of powerful encounter or transformative conversation that happens with another person. Or again, you may find yourself feeling just for some reason very empowered to let somebody know what your authentic thoughts are on a situation, and just for some reason like no longer fear an outcome that may have prevented you from doing that in the past. And I also think, as I've already gone on and on about, the spidey senses are likely to be turned all the way up in the energy of Friday for sure. And also telepathic communication, you guys, I'm telling you, this is a facet of this new paradigm that we're moving into. If there was ever an energy that supported our ability to have like mind to mind coherence or cohesion somehow on a more like energetic frequency based level, it would definitely be represented through Uranus and Gemini trining Pluto in Aquarius. So I think, you guys, if somebody pops into your head that you're not normally thinking about, 75% chance, probably more, that they're thinking about you. And that's why you're thinking about them. This telepathic communication is super real, super palpable right now, especially, you guys, also if you happen to have air sign planets between, you know, 0 and 5 degrees, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. You are right in this trine with Uranus and Pluto right now, and as a result of that, you could be really caught up in some of these strange, like psychic, like telepathic, what world am I living in type of experiences, or early degrees of fire signs as well, because then you're being aspected by Saturn and Neptune, and that's the energy that is like untethering us. So, you know, if you got early degree fire signs or early degree air sign planets right now, you might just be noticing some of this happening more often than normal, and it really could be shocking. And I wouldn't be surprised if you do find out how shockingly accurate your intuition or your hunches or your like flashes of insight or epiphanies or like telepathic signals actually end up being. So we've got that going on. Now, on the other side of things, this Sun North Node, Cancer, Pisces, water sign trine, while we've got the breakdown in the Saturn energy, I do think, even though, as I said, we sort of have this like algorithm running that is like executing on these like programmer system upgrades kind of like in the subconscious, all of us in some way right now. At the forefront, I think this is a better weekend for rest, relaxation. You know, it's a very dreamy energy coming through here, letting things go, surrendering the burden to a higher power, not forcing that which is clearly and apparently out of our control. The Sabian symbol placements of the Sun and the North Node in that exact trine on Friday. The Sun is at 20 degrees of the sign of Cancer. That Sabian symbol is Venetian gondoliers giving a serenade. And then 20 degrees of Pisces, where the North Node is a table set for an evening meal. So both of these are about something being given, something being served, an experience that, you know, we are receiving. And a, you know, rather like pleasant or lovely one at that. This is about resting, relaxing, enjoying. It's definitely more, again, of this like vacation oriented energy as opposed to this strong output energy. This is, you know, getting away, taking time off, taking it easy, being detached, highly spiritual, highly sensitive, highly intuitive, playful feeling, emotion based energy. Dreamy, mystical, not super logical, not super rational, not super linear, not super, again, like rooted or grounded in reality. So trying, therefore, to like make things work, to get a productive result, to have the discipline to, you know, execute on things the way that they need to be done so that you get the outcome that you need. It's just like not what this energy is supporting. It's literally talking about like going on a boat ride or having a good meal or having a relaxing afternoon. Just this more spiritual, surrender, release, passive type of energy. And I just don't think much is going to be accomplished in terms of productive value outside of the changes that are running in the background right now. Remember, as I said, like it's almost like there's this like algorithm update that's going on in the background while we've got this Uranus-Pluto situation playing out. So that is effective. That is important. There's changes going on, and you know that I feel like is really the progress that's being made right now. But our ability to generate outcomes, I don't think is there. This is a much more experimental, correction oriented, trying new things, options and alternatives, but nothing, absolutely nothing set in stone type of energy. Anything that we're trying to overly control is probably just going to be a source of frustration. And you know, things like meeting a quota or achieving some goal, like it's probably just going to fall short. It's probably not going to translate, and there's just really no point, therefore, I feel like, in pushing it if we don't absolutely have to. So don't set your standards for, or your expectations for, results to be super high. But you know, remember, if things aren't working, this is another one of our lessons coming through right now, is to adapt, to pivot, to edit, to change. This energy, again, it's very, very much about changing the functioning mechanism, like the way that things have been done, the protocols, the procedures, the rules, the regulations, the templates, the patterns that things have generally and conventionally and traditionally followed. This is about changing those things up in order to get a different outcome. And as a result, I just don't think that things that have always worked a certain way are necessarily going to continue to work that way. And as a result of that, there could be a lot of breakdowns that are happening in things, especially, again, like things that are old. This may actually end up being a period of time where you find yourself having to replace equipment, especially, you know, we're talking about Saturn, so this could be anything that is used for production somehow, that has an engine that just, you know, makes things happen in the 3D world. There could be breakdowns, there could be issues, things could just be not working, and that maybe also is what could be preventing us from getting a job done somehow. So things are going to require alterations in order to continue to function properly and get optimal results now and moving forward. And I do think that this is actually kind of like our new constant, and something that we're going to sort of be perpetually adjusting to in small ways now and throughout this next unfolding, actually like probably 7-year period of time somehow. So Friday's a super tuned in day, you guys. Divine timing, divine alignment coming through a few different ways. Very prophetic energy out there, very intuitive energy out there. Tune in, pay attention, act accordingly. We really, really can set ourselves up for success if we learn to listen and follow the direct line of communication that we all have to a higher power at this point in time. I mean, always, but it's just now it's going to get louder and louder and louder and louder until it captures your attention and until you learn to work with it. All right, so that could be how Friday goes. Moving into Saturday, the moon is still transiting the sign of Aquarius, comes actually into an opposition with Mercury in Leo, and a trine with Venus and Gemini on Saturday. Saturday could be like a little social butterfly day. It could be very social, very busy. Maybe like lots of activities or events going on, lots of places to be, people to see, things to do. I do imagine people will have a lot to say and a lot to talk about on Saturday, probably be quite open. Again, I don't think people are going to be holding back or repressing or hiding much, especially in terms of thoughts and emotions, willing to really kind of share their feelings about things. Mercury right now is also slowing down and will be stationing retrograde on the 18th. And so there does, aside from the fact that I think people are just going to be more naturally inclined to share their views and opinions and feelings right now, there also seems to be an exceptional amount to share about, like a lot to say, a lot to consider, a lot to process, a lot to think about, a lot to talk about. So there could be some, actually conversations could be like very long, very deep, very in-depth. It could be like you start a conversation with somebody and you lose total track of time and realize you've been talking for like 2 hours and it felt like 10 minutes. That's another thing that I'm going to talk about as we get more through the report that I was sort of picking up on this morning. There seems to be like this whole Saturn situation we've got going on. I mean, the whole energetic story, this whole energetic entanglement that we have could be like really distorting time somehow as we move throughout the course of the weekend and over like now moving forward really through the month of July as well. But we'll get there in a minute. But that is something else that you could find like getting captivated in some type of conversation that just totally distorts and blurs the boundaries of time, and all of a sudden it's been like all afternoon and you thought it had been like 10 minutes and you just get totally lost in conversation. That would really be indicated by this energetic dynamic lineup right now. Also with the Mercury Leo, Moon Aquarius opposition going on, and Venus also in the trine to Gemini, drama, performance, dramatic displays and expressions of emotions could very much characterize the communication style that is present on Saturday. This is going to be highly performative. It's also really, really super creative, very fun-loving, very like entertaining. And with that North Node Sun trine in water as well, this is even enhancing, I feel like, the kind of like carefree, playful nature of things. Pisces can be a very playful, creative, imaginative type of energy as well. And it can also sometimes detach us from reality a bit. So again, probably not the best day, therefore, to get some very hard work done. Or really also, I don't think people are going to be taking things too seriously. Saturn, that is the serious, somber, very disciplined energy. Saturn is stationing you guys at 2 degrees of the sign of Aries in terms of the Sabian symbol placement as well. And that Sabian symbol is literally a comedian entertaining the group. I just don't think people are going to be taking things too seriously. There could also be a prominent emphasis on comedy or comedians somehow as we are going through this transitional process. There could be, and I think there will be for some reason, a highlight on the comedians and the jesters and the jokesters out there. I don't know, maybe they're going to be playing some significant role somehow in this transitional process, but it's very ironic to me that that would be the degree where Saturn stations retrograde, and Saturn, as I just said, this is about what is serious, what is, very important, what we need to be very, what we need to be very on top of, and what we need to be taking with a lot of respect and stuff like that. When Saturn's going retrograde and we have a full moon in Capricorn trine the South Node, and we've got Saturn and Neptune in a conjunction together, and Saturn stations at a comedian entertaining group, like, everything's like a circus, like it's just not that serious. So things may be reflecting that. You may find yourself actually having a hard time taking things super seriously. You may find yourself feeling more lackadaisical or just kind of like thinking outside the box or coloring outside the line, or like no matter what you do, you can't stay on schedule, can't stay on task. It just is how things are operating right now. It's not always obviously going to be like this. We're actually, this whole year, to be honest with you, is kind of like that. This whole 2025 year is, we have the Saturn Neptune end of Pisces, beginning of Aries fusion dynamic that is literally just playing out between now and next spring. So this really kind of lack of who is like truly in charge of things, or, you know, really being sure about the way that things are going to unfold, or, you know, very firm structures and boundaries and limitations. Like the barriers to entry and stuff like that. Like there's definitely not a strong influence, like not a strong authority, not a strong centralization, not a strong just like control dynamic that is going to be going on throughout the course of this entire year. So we're going to get used to this more unstable, changeable state of flux of things. But after we move through this period of time and all the changes that it's bringing and all the breakdowns that are taking place, because really I feel like that's kind of what this year is about. It's about, as I started my report, and I've said a million times so far in this report, dismantling the like frameworks and the structures and the rules and the boundaries and the limitations like of the past, because there's a new paradigm coming in right now, and that can't fully emerge while we still have like all of the red tape from what we are moving out of in place. So I think that there's going to really be, probably 2025 is like the year of the dismantling of the old order. And then as we move into 2026, spring of 2026, that is when, you guys, we are all going to find our sense of personal power and like personal authority, and we are really going to start taking the reins and being much more disciplined in the use of our energy in obtaining some outcome, some result, building something new. But in the meantime, it literally is just like this kind of like in a state of flux. Am I dreaming or am I awake? Is it truth or is it illusion? Is it the past or is it the future or is it the present? And I can't really even tell the difference between any of them. Gonna be a very, very strange year, but I do think that's primarily why, is because this energy is more about collapsing what was, it's like collapsing how things were so that how they will be can be like unencumbered in its manifestation, and like grounding and rooting into the future that we are moving towards and going to be aligning with going forward. But anyways, it could be a dramatic day on Saturday. People could be there could just be a lot of displays of emotion and feeling, and people quite open about expressing how they feel about things, which is probably not a great time for having the discipline to work hard. Doing something fun with family, with friends, if you can. Definitely, I would say that this is more supported, of course. Water-oriented, we've got a water sign trine going on with the sun in the north node. Be careful, though, because the sun and the north node in a trine together in water signs, this can generate, like, a lot of water. We also have, actually, Neptune and Pluto in an exact sextile right now. Neptune is at 2 degrees of Aries, Pluto's at 2 degrees of Aquarius. So that energy is exact. There could actually be like destructive flooding and stuff like that, or just very like elevated water levels, because the north node, this is the head of the dragon, the destiny point. It pulls things forward. Like it can overdo it. It's sometimes, and we're talking about a trine and water signs with the sun and Cancer, that can be a lot of water energy, a lot of water, a lot of rain. And then the Pluto Neptune, that could be also like plumbing issues and stuff like that, or like things that work underwater or that require, with Saturn there also, there could like be like breakdowns in terms of like pumps and stuff like that that's going on. Or again, there could just be, or like break walls and stuff like that. Like if you live in like a flood zone or a flood plain, or like areas that are more susceptible to flooding somehow, I don't know, it seems like there could just be maybe like be aware of that, because if there is big water, okay, that comes with this, there's not going to be a way to contain it, because Saturn would be that boundary. It would be that limitation. Like it would be that break wall or that wall, and there's no Saturn energy. So if for some reason there happens to be like big rainstorms or something that goes on, a lot of water or something, I think that things could be more likely to flood easily, because there's just not going to be a way to like contain water when we've got energy going on like that. So maybe something to keep in mind as well. But on the other side of that, with Mercury in the sign of Leo and the sun in Cancer and the moon in Aquarius, fun in the sun, being around water, like having fun times with family or community or friends, and also the moon in trine with Venus on Saturday, like at the beach, at the lake, at the pool, even just like in the hot tub, also with the water and Mercury and Leo energy. This is a good use of the day. I think that rest, relaxation, having fun times, much more supported than us trying to like bust our butt to accomplish something which for whatever reason doesn't end up having been meaningful anyways, because that's how it's more likely to go. So that's what I think about Saturday. Moving into Sunday, this is the day that we have Saturn stationing retrograde. As I said, it's happening at 2 degrees of Aries, a comedian entertaining a group. It's also happening in a conjunction to Neptune, who recently stationed retrograde as well. And it is happening during the Capricorn full moon cycle, just 3 days following the Capricorn full moon, which is, of course, ruled by Saturn. I will also note the position of the Earth on Sunday as Saturn stations retrograde, and keep in mind the context of everything I've already said about the change of guard type of situation that is playing out right here, right now. But I tell you guys the symbol, amazingly, on the day that Saturn stations, the Sabian symbol placement for the Earth, you know, the state of things here on the ground, is 21 degrees of Capricorn. That Sabian symbol is a general accepting defeat gracefully. So that is exactly what Sunday feels like to me for some reason. This is for sure emphasizing this change of guard, transfer of power, end of an era, fall of an empire. It's like the archetypal transition of legacies of power or knowledge or control that seems to be referenced, represented, indicated, and taking place with this. The collapsing of the illusion that has supported the projection, that has maintained the order and the control of the power hierarchies of the matrix of the past. That whole thing coming to an end. A general accepting defeat gracefully. I do think something of lasting importance, of significance, of dominance is being taken down, is retiring, is being released, coming apart with this Saturn station. This could be physical, tangible structures and buildings, again, and even like machines or just things that we have used or that have served a purpose for a long period of time. This could be rules or regulations or protocols or procedures. This could be traditions or beliefs or conventions or standards. This could be handing down, as I said, of businesses, this like heir type of situation, business responsibility generationally. This could be like a change of generational authority going on here. Also breakdowns in government and authority and leadership and control, managerial and hierarchical changes happening within corporations and the earth in the workplace would be represented with this. Things associated with the past that we have been holding on to or that have defined us or our lives in certain ways for set periods of time. These things could be coming to an end in this energy as well. And this could represent literal karma, literal karmic cycles, or time itself. Saturn being the Lord of karma and the Lord of time. And as I was mentioning earlier, and I said I would get to later in the report, it is almost like time is somehow coming undone with this as well. You may suddenly find yourself reliving old memories, or maybe like feeling disconnected from both the present moment and the past somehow, or maybe like more in the past than in the present, or maybe like more in the future than in the present, or maybe experiencing some type of distortion in the context of how all of it's maybe blending together somehow. Honestly, it could feel very trippy, almost like a psychedelic experience somehow for some people. The strange detachment and blurred connection to time and reality with this particular energetic configuration coming together, flashes of insight, electrified mental energy, almost this prophetic view or vision of the future, hyper awareness, but also maybe like simultaneously very like vividly reliving elements of the past. And also having, again, like no real strong, firm grounding or footing or rooting to reality because of the lack of earth-based energy going on right now. It could honestly feel like some type of drug, like the way that it is impacting some people's minds, the way that these frequencies are altering their literal brain chemistry could, again, be just like sending people over the edge, like causing breaks from reality, or literally causing the sensation of like being on some type of psychedelic trip. Like it could feel like being cracked out on life for some reason. Like you're stone sober and you are totally sure that you have just entered another realm of reality. Like this is, what was that? The Twilight Zone. That's where we're at. That's what this is. So if you're there, you're there, and it is what it is. And it's a learning curve, you guys. Like we are going to learn to, we're going to adjust. This is very, very new energy that's coming in right now. Obviously, Uranus just made that move. This is the first lunar activation on Friday of the Uranus-Pluto trine, and just everything else that we've got going on right now. It could be real intense. We will adjust to this, and I don't think, it's not going to be as maybe severe and impactful, or just kind of like as radical maybe going forward. But for the moment, I do think people could just be kind of tripping out about some things, the way that this energy is coming together again. So like if you're there, if you feel like you just woke up on another planet, or you've got no idea what's going on, or you're questioning if somebody like slipped something in your drink when you weren't looking, of course that's possible. But most likely it is just a reaction that is happening temporarily to the way that this new energy is hitting, and our lack of ability to be truly grounded or connected to the physical material plane right now. Lots of energy that is like indicating feeling lost, feeling disassociated, disconnected, questioning a lot of things. Not much energy that is indicated really having a strong sense of stability and assuredness in the trajectory of things, or in the history of things, or in the state of things generally. So, and another thing about this energy, maybe just to keep in mind, not overly focus on, but just be aware of, as I mentioned in my Cancer new moon report a couple of weeks ago now, I think it was, I do feel like this whole period of time right now is a bit more accident prone. I was talking about the water element of that earlier, because we've got the Neptune Pluto sextile and the Sun North Node trine, and also with the position of Uranus and Pluto right now, also just travel generally. Make sure you're paying attention, especially like things to do with the air and stuff as well. This energy could just be a little bit sketchy, and I do think that there is a more accident prone nature, especially if we're not paying good attention to things. So make sure you're being mindful, make sure you're paying attention, and be aware, like I said, if you are I have no idea what the weather's going to be like next week, but if you are somewhere where there's a lot of rain going on, or that could have flash flooding, I know that we had issues with that, or there was big flash floods that happened in Texas a couple days before. I think actually like over the 4th. So hopefully we don't see anything more like that come with this energy that is coming up now, but it would indicate things along those lines. So I wanted to make reference to that also. More specifically, let's talk about other energy that we've got present on Sunday now, aside from the Saturn station. The moon, remember, is transiting through the sign of Aquarius. The moon will be entering the very late degrees of the sign of Aquarius, preparing to enter the sign of Pisces, which is going to put the moon in a square to Uranus at 0 degrees of Pisces. This, of course, would lean on, again, like these breakdowns and disruptions that could be going on. Could be an unusual day. I would expect maybe perhaps some unexpected cancellations or changes of plans with that Saturn energy like that, and then the moon squaring the new Uranus energy. Things could feel slow, things could feel heavy, things could feel overwhelming, or they could feel so like high speed and fast paced and just like out of control that they could equally be overwhelming for some reason. And I just think, it could be a desire to, escape from something could be quite strong. Also, this very rebellious, non-conformist, non-traditional type of energy for sure. Disregarding rules, disregarding boundaries, disregarding limitations. I mean, it's hard to say. It's like, are there no rules and are there no boundaries and are there no limitations because people are just choosing or refusing to adhere to them? That could be it. Or there could be this more just like free-for-all, all over the place, anything goes type of energy because there is a lack of that which would normally contain things. So it's hard to say really, especially considering this like intertwined, entangled nature of the way that these energetic dynamics are working together right now. But it's either going to go one way or the other. There's either like some type of revolution or rebellion or refusal to comply or conform that is just choosing to disregard the rules and the boundaries or the authority, and that's why that's not there or not relevant. Or it's the other way around. It's that for some reason there is no guidance, there is no authority, there is no law and order, and as a result of that there's kind of like this just more chaotic, all over the place feel to things. But regardless, that seems to be one way or the other a vibe of the moment. So I do think people are, going to be kind of letting things go this weekend, letting things slide this week, basically sort of like this free-for-all energy, no solid structure or rigid form or framework to things to adhere to, trying too hard, as I have been saying over and over again this whole report, or following old rules and trying to get a productive outcome just seems like a fruitless effort this weekend. So you choose, you guys, but that's my advice. Give yourself a break on Sunday for sure. Take it easy, get away, switch things up, experiment. Experimentation is a huge vibe right now as well that is energetically supported, but Sunday does feel like this more slow-paced Sunday drive type of day. Besides, of course, that like high-pitched, high-frequency upgrade, again, that is running on the subconscious algorithm in the background. So on Sunday, you guys, and all weekend really, I would say surrender to, the changes, try to be adaptable, don't force and control things, be receptive. Remember those degrees, the symbols that were present for our Sun North Node trine as well. The Venetian gondoliers performing a serenade and the table set for an evening meal. Like, this is about receiving. This is not about this active pursuit, okay? Defending and not attacking, responding and not reacting, strategize, plan, correct, edit, experiment. Accept, but don't demand. Have patience, trust the path, act your faith, read the energy field around you. This is a very good weekend to meet the world, I think, with a bit of a softer approach. Try, again, not to take things too seriously, not force outcomes, not overly control, go with the flow. You're going to get a better outcome and have a better experience with that approach. I want to close now and read you guys really just all the symbols that we have present. I feel like all of them are, it's weird because all the symbols are almost like cohesive to me right now, even though they're all very different. Like, a lot of moving parts, a lot of strange sights and experiences and maybe things going on. But ultimately, I do think that everything kind of right now is a little bit more lighthearted, or at least trying to pull us out of such serious energy maybe and move us into a better direction. So I'm just going to read you the whole house of what we got in terms of our symbolism today. Sunday, July 13th, this is the symbolism for the day that Saturn stations retrograde. And on Sunday, we've got the sun at 22 Cancer. That Sabian symbol is a woman awaiting a sailboat. Right in alignment with the energy this weekend. As I told you guys, 22 degrees of the sign of Capricorn, where the Earth is located while Saturn stations on Sunday, is a general accepting defeat gracefully. We have Mercury at 15 degrees of Leo, a pageant moving along a street packed with people. I feel like that's the vibe of Saturday. We have Venus at 11 Gemini. This is one of my favorite degrees, symbolic degrees in all of the zodiac. Newly opened lands offer the pioneer new opportunities for experience, this radical newness that is bringing these opportunities that we never maybe would have imagined. Like, that is the direction that we're going. We are on this new frontier, okay? Newly opened frontier is about to emerge as we move into this new Uranian energy. We've got Mars at 16 Virgo. Delighted children crowd around the orangutan cage in a zoo. That's also kind of like this novel, different, and educational experience. Maybe if you're a little child, like seeing something that you've never seen before that, you know, brings excitement and delight. I think that's very much in alignment with this energy as well, especially with the Mercury Leo vibe and the North Node Pisces vibe. We have Jupiter at 8 degrees of Cancer. A group of rabbits dressed in human clothes walk as if on parade. Another like very suitable symbolic reference to the general strangeness of things right now that really may having us be like, well, that just happened. So I guess this is where we're at now. As I told you guys, Saturn stationing at 2 Aries, a comedian entertaining the group. Something about comedy, something about the influence of comedy or the role of comedians in this transition maybe, or maybe just like an inability to take things super seriously right now. We've got Uranus, 0 Gemini, a glass bottom boat reveals undersea wonders. Peering into the depths, seeing things that we haven't seen before, illuminating the darkness and what's been going on under the surface for sure. Transparency, a glass bottom boat. That's really like one of the primary energetic indications right now. We have Neptune at 3 degrees of Aries, a cameo profile of a man in the outline of his country. This is something that could be quite relevant right now as well. Like, an inability to hide like what is real, what is authentic, who we really are, literally maybe like being written on our face somehow. We've got Pluto at 3 degrees of Aquarius, a Hindu healer glows with a mystic healing power. This is ultimately going to be a time of great healing, regeneration, and transformation, of course. The North Node, I told you guys, 20 Pisces, a table set for an evening meal. And the South Node at 20 degrees of the sign of Virgo, a caravan of cars headed for promised lands. We are going in a better direction, you guys. We just have to get through whatever release is required here, and things are going to start heading in, well, we are moving into this new energy. We're going through this paradigm shift. And I do think that once we begin to see what that means, it is likely to make sense, and we are probably going to see that things genuinely are as they should be and unfolding in a better way. And we also have the Black Moon at 13 degrees of Scorpio right now. An inventor performs a laboratory experiment, and as I've said, I feel like these times are all about experimentation, trying new things, altering the path, editing the way that things have been done, making changes, making alterations, making upgrades, options, choices, decisions, and thinking about things in a new way, you guys. So all of that, all of those, that's what I think. That's what I have to say. That's how things appear to me as we move through the course of the weekend out of this very significant vibrational shift that took place over the course of the week this week. I'm going to get one more card for us, you guys. I'm going to get a synchronicity card and ask God, Spirit, Universe for one final piece of guidance or advice that can benefit us as we move throughout the course of the weekend. And our card for the day, you guys, says love equals respect. The children of this world are given in marriage, Luke 20:34. God is love, and when true love in the heart unites a man and a woman, it is God joining a couple. When difficulties and arguments occur, dissolve the problem in the light of God's love. Love, goodwill, and understanding are the keys to all human understanding. Respect one another. Refusing to treat one another with respect will cause more harm than any other act. And I appreciate that this is the card that we have coming out, because remember, respect is Saturn energy, and we have so little of that present this weekend that I think that this is probably an important reminder. Self-respect, respect for others. It says respect one another. Refusing to treat another with respect will cause more harm than any other act. And I do think that that could be one of the issues in the energy right now, in this these breakdown of rules, breakdown of authority, breakdown of discipline, breakdown of respect. A lot of things could be getting out of control. People could be getting out of hand because of a lack of respect for some reason. So it may just benefit us to consciously and actively choose to conduct ourselves with respect in an energetic environment that is not providing that for us. So I feel like this is probably like the best friendly reminder that we could get right now, moving through a weekend with such a diminished Saturnian influence. Actively, consciously choosing respect, whether it's applied to ourselves or whether it's applied to other people, clearly seems to be something that is a good idea to carry with us throughout the course of the weekend. So that is our advice. That's our synchronicity message. And that's what I have to say. I hope you guys liked the video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, you guys. Subscribe to my channel. Share it with your friends if you think that they also would enjoy or benefit from this type of astrology content. Leave me comments, you guys. Thank you so much for being here. I truly value all of you and your presence so much. If you are having experiences that line up with what I'm talking about in these videos, or if your life is reflecting my words, drop a comment, tell me what's going on, let me know how this energy is impacting you. I really appreciate that. Again, very valuable information to me. If you want to know what's on this whiteboard, I have a Facebook group linked in my description box below where I take pictures and post these boards. So if you want to see the board, see everything that's written on it, that's where you will find that. And come back with me on Monday, you guys. We are going to have another week of astrology to get into. We do have a bit of a quiet next couple of weeks coming up here, but there are, of course, some pretty there are some important things that we need to talk about, discuss, and note. We do have this building Mars South Node conjunction going on. Venus in now the sign of Gemini is going to also begin coming into a square with Mars. We've got to talk about that, and there's more. So there are things going on, and I will be back to talk about them on Monday, you guys. So you don't want to miss it. I will see you then. Have a beautiful weekend, and until next time, bye guys.